So where do we go from here? 1 week after Hurricane Milton made landfall on Siesta Key, what are we experiencing and where do we go next? Well, first of all, I want to address the big issue that you're not going to see on television, and that is the anxiety, the fatigue, the mental game that we're all feeling. And whether or not we had a direct hit on our house or we lost anything, the anxiety everyone is feeling is palpable here in Florida for many, many locations, not just in Florida, but nationwide. First of all, we had so many loved ones calling, praying with us, crying, worried. So the stress that comes with storms of this magnitude is overwhelming. And we didn't even have the time to physically prepare as we are still cleaning up from Helene. What I'm asking at this time is to be understanding, be kind, be patient. I think we all need a little bit more kindness right now. Know that everyone is trying their best. And as I said, even if you haven't lost anything, there's this weird almost guilt that others did, and you're trying to figure out how to help them and go on with your life while so many others are struggling. So when you live here, it is definitely hard. It was 2004 when 4 major hurricanes made landfall in Florida in 6 weeks. And I'm sure Floridians can tell you exactly where they were and what they felt. And 20 years from now, us that were here during this time are going to be able to tell stories. But we will rebuild, we will come back, and we will be even more beautiful than ever. So what happens next? Well, we start cleaning up. And whether you love or hate Florida, the one thing Florida knows is how to spring into action after a hurricane. First of all, we had 50,000 linemen that arrived in Florida prior to the storm, ready to restore power. And at this time, almost everyone's power is back on. We have gas at all the gas stations. Schools are back in session. Restaurants, businesses, bars, everything are opening back up here just 1 week after landfall. So we're going to rebuild. There's a lot of cleanup that's going to happen. There's going to be a lot of traffic going to our islands. There's going to be a lot of people that are coming here to help. Keep in mind, right now the beaches are closed, but in a short amount of time, they will reopen. And there will be a lot of traffic coming and going just because we have so much to rebuild. I remember this after Ian, seeing all the trucks on the interstate driving north and south in and out of Fort Myers area. Expect to see the same thing here. So patience is very, very important. FEMA, insurance companies, emergency services has arrived, and they're trying their best to get people help as quickly as possible. This primarily hit our keys, and so Anna Maria Island, Bradenton Beach, Longboat Key, Lido, and Siesta Key have really experienced the brunt of these storms. Even if your home was not directly affected, you may want to hire a home inspector to come out and take a look. For a few $100s, home inspectors will inspect your roof, they will inspect in your attic, make sure there's no water leaks. They can do an infrared ultrasound around your doors and windows just to make sure there is no water leakings, there's no mold growing, and it will give you a peace of mind. If you do have to have work done in your home, and right now what we're finding is there's a lot of fences blown down, obviously a lot of shingles blown off the roofs, be sure that you work with reputable companies. Vet the people that you are hiring. Don't just answer the door, which that happens here in Florida, where there's going to be people that are knocking on your door and saying they can do stuff for you. Be very, very careful. And remember, you cannot sign over your insurance rights to a roofing company. So keep in mind, there's so much that goes into this. Protect yourself and stay safe when you're working with companies that are coming in to make repairs on your home. There's lots of wonderful contractors in the area. If you need a list of people, reach out to us. We are definitely here to help you with that. If you've been displaced and you're looking for a rental home, a few things. First of all, right now you may be able to find temporary housing through Airbnb or short-term rentals. One thing that I want everyone to know though, we are heading into season, and you may be able to find a place for the rest of October, November, and December pretty easily, but you may be having to move again come January. Or if you don't have to move after the first of the year, your rent may double in cost if you're in an Airbnb or a short-term rental. Also, you will still have to pay deposits, and with short-term rentals, sometimes you have to pay 50% of your rent up front, or you may be asked for additional security deposits, pet deposits. So it is possible to find short-term rentals right now, but keep in mind the cost associated with that as we go into season. And if you're looking for an annual rental here in Florida, most of the time landlords are going to be looking for first, last, and security deposits. So keep in mind the expense of moving into these rental homes. There's a lot out there. Work with reputable companies. We've helped a few clients find alternative housing. So again, if we can help in any way, please let us know. Should you rebuild or should you relocate? I know this thought is running through lots of people's mind. I do urge you not to make a haste decision in the middle of trauma. As they say, sometimes that is not always the best decision. I understand though completely if people do not want to stay. Even those that have not been directly impacted with loss of property are telling me that Florida is not for them. The anxiety, the worry, the evacuation is just too much. Completely understandable. But be sure you know where you're going, why you're going, and that you have the funds to do this. We saw an influx of people to Florida during COVID, and now some of those people are going back to their home states, are going back to their neighborhoods, are going back to loved ones, because in the middle of some traumatic events, we don't always make the best decisions in trauma. So I think we need a little bit of time. But again, if you want to leave the state of Florida or Sarasota in general, completely understand, and no one should judge you. But in the same token, if you decide to stay and rebuild, I understand that as well. We have our businesses, our family, our loved ones, our careers are here in Florida. For many of us, there's no way we are leaving. So this goes back to our kindness a little bit. Don't judge people for the decisions they're making after seeing back-to-back hurricanes. What will this mean for Sarasota in general, real estate, and our economy? Well, naturally, immediately after a hurricane, sales of homes are going to decline. First of all, we're all busy cleaning up. There's no places to stay. We're going to have a little bit less traffic here, and our prices might decrease some. So for the immediate time being, yes, we're going to see a slowdown, and that's just naturally going to happen. What will happen in 6 months from now, it's a little bit harder to predict. However, after doing research about Fort Myers and what it experienced after Ian, I've discovered that definitely there were people that left town. For instance, Ian hit in 2002, and in 2003, the outflow was 9%. So we could expect this area to see an outflow of 7 to 10% for sure, or we're gonna see people that are moving inland. We might see people move east to 75 to cities such as Parrish, Lakewood Ranch, or North Nokomis, North Venice. So there's a lot of moving around that will happen immediately after this for the next few months. We definitely know we're going to see investors starting to swoop in. And although that may seem very vulturous, that's just the way it happens, unfortunately. They will come in and scoop up properties for land value. Now keep in mind, land on a key or beach is always going to be valuable. They are going to take over the cleanup, all of the responsibility of making sure when they rebuild, the property is built to the highest standards. And again, I know that having investors call you might seem very stressful, but for others, they've already told me they're ready. Just bring me somebody, land value, I'm done. I will not lose money in comparison to the money I would be spending trying to rebuild myself. And they do not want it. I mean, even earlier this year, we had clients that sold a property to investors on the Keys. So it always will happen. And also keep in mind, those investors, if we did not have them, there'd be a lot of abandoned and vacant homes that start to dilapidate, and which would cause other problems. So as hard as it is to sometimes deal with investors when you're going through crisis. They're out there, we're gonna see it, and it's gonna keep happening. I wanna end though, letting you all know that most of Sarasota, Bradenton, Lakewood Ranch, Venice is back to normal day-to-day life, which might seem very crazy, but most neighborhoods had minimal damage. Most homes had minimal damage. Lots of tree limbs, lots of shingles maybe blown off, but overall, we fared so much better than probably we were expecting to, which is such a relief for so many of us. So keep in mind, Sarasota is open. Sarasota is beautiful. It will rebuild, and we will come back better than ever. Thank you so much for continuing to watch. I'm Lisa McBride with Sarasota Neighborhood Experts, and if we can be of any help during this time, don't hesitate to reach out. We always appreciate you watching, and until next time, take care.